Well, hello everyone. Good to see ya. So I got my new schedule, obviously, and so today was the day off. So we're gonna try to be back, guys. We're gonna make sure everything goes good. It's been storming and rainy out today, so kind of one of those crazy weather days down here. But right now, it looks like we'll be back on Tuesday nights, as long as my my work schedule doesn't change. Let me just now I just need to get back in the hang of using this thing. So let's see. There we go. Got the link up. Got that pinned. All right, we're good to go. So let's go. Anybody wanting to come in? Boom, link right up there. Holy moly, thank you, Steve. Yep, my birthday was a couple days ago. I hit the speed limit. Wow, thank you so much, Steve. Amazing. You are amazing, sir. You coming down at all this summer to Virginia or not this year? I imagine you probably are. That's crazy. Hey, Flip, good to see you. Michael, Randy, and Philip. Randy, and Philip, Roy. Hey, Roy. Hope, trying to make sure I got everybody first time back, trying to get back at the swing of this thing here. Let's see. All right, I guess that's everybody right now. We'll see what happens. Hey, Larry and Jan, good to see you. Good to see everybody. So, I have this extremely bad habit here, and like rocking my desk like I just did. But so it seems like every day I've been off, rain. I mean, it's just been like it rained today, it rained yesterday, which I wasn't off, but rained, and then it rained on Sunday. I mean, we've just had rain pretty steady, which I know we need rain. Don't get me wrong, I know we need rain, but if it could just please rain on a day, not on a day that I'm off of work, where I can actually get in my bees and, pull the rest of that honey I've got sitting out there off, that'd be great. So Mother Nature and could keep us going right there. That'd be great. Let me get out there and take care of them. Plus, I'm probably going to need to find some queens somewhere to try to do some splitting after the pulling the honey, because the population would be high. I did, David. Thank you so much. I went to brunch. My kids took me to brunch with the grandbabies. So we had all the babies and all the kids together, and we were out there eating some good food. And oh yeah, man, still off the cigarettes. I'm still using these, but I'm even trying to cut down on these things. It's the Zen Rogue thing. It's not tobacco, but it does have some nicotine in it. but my lungs are clear. I guess that's the most important thing. Let me see. That is the most important thing. So I did make a post in the No Life Beekeepers chat group the other day. If you're thinking on squashing or replacing a queen, don't squash her. Cage her and send her to me. I can use her. I can use her this year. Especially I've got you guys know that I'm helping Zach out there, and he actually got his first. They bought a license hive. It's only a single deep, so I was looking to try to split into that, and we were going to need to get a queen so we could do a split to that. Yeah, hey, little ditty about Jack and Danny showing up for a bee chat. Good to see y'all tonight. Hey, you know the link is pinned, and you know how I feel about talking to the chat box. So come on down. But anyway, work has been pretty good. I'm out of training, and it's a little bit different. I've never worked in that environment before, so it's been a little bit challenging for me because I like to get up, but sitting in a chair for 8 hours has its own drawbacks. So it's and not only that I can't just get up from my desk because you've got a headset on, and when it rings, it just picks up. It's not like I have to hit a button for it not to ring, or if I don't pick it up, it goes to somebody else. Nope. It's just coming in. So, but it's been pretty fun. I'm doing pretty well at it. I guess I could say I worked. When did I work? Sunday, Friday, Sunday, and Monday has been the days that I've worked so far full time. I mean, when I say full time, actually doing that job the whole time. Holy moly. Philip, look at Philip. 36 months. He's been a member for 36 months. That's like OG member. OG member of the channel. That's crazy. 3 years. 3 years a member. That's awesome. You know what? Let me maybe I haven't talked to Brad in a little while. Maybe I can see if Brad will pop in here too. Just with work and everything, it's been kind of crazy. Let's see if we can get the gang together tonight. Man, it's been such a busy time. There it is. Let's see. All right. So I sent those out. He's a dedicated. Hey, we should get shirts made up. He's a day walker. He's a walker. What was it? What'd they have in oh my gosh, not Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. There were walkers in there too, White Walkers, right? And then there's day walkers in the other show, which I've never seen any of those, so that's crazy. But hey guys, we got to talk bees. So to talk bees as a conversation, we need to have somebody over here so we can discuss things. I don't know if Brad will see that because they're an hour behind. Oh man, I could probably use how many could I use? I could probably use 10 queens, to be honest with you. At least 10. Let's see. I don't think I saw Mike in here. I'm sending Michael Menino a link. even though it's posted in here, they may not know that I'm live at the moment. We'll send Todd a link. I don't know what his schedule's like tonight. I know he normally cooks tonight. Oops. I think I would know that shortcut there. And just trying to get this back together. I think once we get the routine going again, that oh, hey, yeah, I feel like as old as James McNally now. You see, James, the link's up in the corner. Come on in. The weather is fine. I could use actually bees in general. If anybody is feeling rather, how should I put this, generous. The bees that I've had, or that I had from the spring, we were able to get them split up, and I did do some walkaways with a couple. But to be honest with you, I just don't have it doesn't seem like I have a large drone congregation. And, and dragonflies and hive beetles and everything else just makes it really hard to get queens back mated. Not a high percentage at all of queens returning. So makes it kind of challenging, even if I graft a bunch. Hey, Carl, good to see you, buddy. Link is up, man. Oh, look here. We have our first old man joining us this evening. Hey, James. Good to see you, man.
How you doing? I can't stay long, but I did want to pop in here and at least say happy birthday and hello to everybody.
Thank you. Is it past your bedtime? You need to take your Geritol and blood pressure medicine before you go to bed for the
smart. No, I have to run out to the bee barn. So we had some more visitors, so I've got to go pull some cards for the RCMP up here. So
okay. People breaking in again.
People breaking in again. Yep.
He's older than you.
Yeah. See, the wife figures you're older than I am. So how does that Geritol and everything work? You know?
Hey, bro, I got bags of this heart medicine or cholesterol medicine everywhere. Blood pressure, Losartan. The VA keeps sending it. Maybe I need to take it more often.
There you go. So
I am older than you, aren't I?
I think you are. Yep. Yeah, the wife's shaking her head, so I'm not going to argue with her. You're
the unicorn is always right.
Exactly. Never argue with the unicorn.
Well, I'm 55 now, so.
There you go.
Yeah. But look, I wear it well. I just shave all the gray off, but
I've been gray since I was like 24, I think, something like that. 20, I don't know. I grayed up early.
Since he met me.
Yeah. As soon as I met the unicorn, I lost my hair and it went gray. She's sitting right there.
It's kind of like Moses when he talked to God, right? That he got grayer every time.
I'm in trouble then. So, but
that was and David. Hey, well, happy late birthday to you there, David. He turned 54 last week, so by a year. But yeah, the job's going. It's a job, but so it's going okay as far as jobs are concerned. But
this working for a living sucks. Just for the record,
it does. It does. There's so many things that I would rather be doing. Unfortunately, they don't pay me do them.
I was going to say, I'd be doing this. Well, I plan on doing this for quite some time with the bees and stuff. But in the winter months, somebody's just got to agree with me and do something different.
Hey, I saw a video recently that your sailing YouTuber there was they had issues with their boat, like one of the floats or something on it. It's a catamaran or something
It's a catamaran, yep. So So that's their boat they're trying to restore. So it was damaged in Hurricane Burrow, in fact. So what they're doing is they're actually raffling off their monohull, which you can see on their YouTube channel. They completely rebuilt this thing, and we've seen that boat. The boat that they're raffling off is a one of a kind. Everything in it's pretty much been handcrafted. So if anybody wants to check it out, I can give them a plug here, can I?
Yeah, sure.
So their channel is called Spirit Animal, SPEAR, as in spear fishing. But Raf and Sasha are absolutely incredible people. And when we were down working on our boat, I think I had just about every one of Raf's tools on my boat as I was going through and doing things. And to give you an idea, so they had the YouTube channel of the year, I do believe, last year for sailing. And they really do some amazing stuff when it comes to YouTube. So anybody who wants to check them out, go out and check them out. And anybody can buy tickets as well on their boat. Sailor or not, that boat is mint. And ultimately, hopefully somebody's going to buy it and sail it. I mean, that's kind of the goal. But if not, I think you could turn around and sell that boat very, very quickly. So they are raffling tickets off. Anybody can buy one. All the
my luck, I'd win, and then I'd go even further in debt.
Well, you could flip that boat. I mean, that boat is known worldwide, guys.
Right.
I think they're following. I don't know. You got their channel up there, honey? I don't know how many followers they have, like 500,000 followers or something like that. But it's impressive what they do with YouTube and their videos and stuff. But yeah, they've had a lot of let's call them setbacks, challenges, whatever you'd like to call it, as they try to get this catamaran that was in a hurricane, as they try to get that upright. Everything from guys going in and stealing and vandalizing and looting it, and to trying to wait for a crane that could flip it.
230,000 subscribers.
230,000 subscribers is what Leah's telling me they have. But
sounds like beekeeping.
Yeah, start with a large fortune and
flipping upside down.
Yeah, beekeeping is the hole in the yard that your money goes into, and boats are holes in the ocean that your money goes into.
Exactly. In fact, I was telling the wife here as we watch them on YouTube when they roll out a new video. So they try to put a new video out every week. But as they roll it out, just knowing the kind of people they are and watching what's happening to them, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. As they go through, these struggles and stuff. So, but
I thought Big Mike was grafting over there. He's grafting some pasta into his stomach.
Well, I had some leftover tortellini soup, so I threw some fresh linguine in there and tried to cook it in there. Not so good.
There you go. Well,
just tried to zap it and cook it.
Feed the machine, Mike.
Got to.
So
when are you coming back down this way?
It could be as early as September, actually.
Okay.
So, but we're not sure. Actually, our the Global Cellulose Fiber Division of International Paper is for sale. So, and from what I understand, there are some interested parties. So, what that means for our mill and my future at the mill, I really don't know. Hopefully no change, but time will tell.
All we need is $1 million from the 42 people that we got on here. Maybe we can buy a section of that 42 million for international paper. All of okay. I need everybody to send me $1 million and we'll buy international paper.
An easy super chat, right?
Yeah, just $1 million super chat from everybody right now. We'll buy in a portion of international paper.
So, but I don't know what the cost of that would be. It wouldn't be cheap.
More than 42 million, I'm sure.
Oh, I think our mill alone is what did they say? 3.2 billion.
3.2 billion. Yeah. We need more viewers. We need more viewers.
So
And more viewers with $1 million plus that could donate.
there you go, right? So this is a beekeeping channel. None of us have that kind of money.
If we had $1 million, we started with 3.
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
That too. Yep, that too.
Went backwards. So how's the bee yard going there, James? I haven't talked to you in a while, obviously.
So it's coming right along. Most of them out there got doubles on them. We are fighting. So I'm lucky because my bees came from Manitoba, so I don't have some of the issues that they do have here locally. But I'm watching very closely. So we did get a note from the Alberta government letting everybody know that EFB positive tests in Alberta are extremely high this year. So, watching really closely to make sure that we don't end up there. I mean, I did, I think it was 3 years ago, I was fighting a little bit of that EFB. So, watching closely, but most of them out there have got doubles on them. I think there's maybe only 2 or 3 that when we broke them down, they were a little bit smaller nukes. We haven't doubled up, but most of them have got doubles on. And after this weekend, I'll do an assessment this weekend. As you know, our solstice is coming up here. Yeah. That's kind of the prime honey crop season for us. However, we have had no rain up to this point.
That's all we've had.
The whole countryside up here is on fire again. Smoke in the air. A lot of times we're getting smoke warnings, hazards.
I was talking to somebody on the phone that was from, I believe they were in Michigan, and or it might have been Wisconsin, I think. And they were saying that they were getting a lot of smoke. And I said, "Oh, is there wildfires up there?" No, we think it's just coming from Canada.
Yeah.
So
the everything between from Alberta over to Manitoba, the fires this year have been just something else. Like we literally, we have had no rain. Like I mean nothing. We may have had a shower that would come through for 15 minutes, but I mean, you don't get anything out of that. The wind is constantly blowing here, so it dries it right out. We are supposed to, I think, tomorrow get 4 days of rain, which we really kind of need. So to give you an idea, I'm still open feeding my bees because there's nothing out there for them. There's like no nectar.
How is that going to affect? Well, I mean, you just said it basically, but your main flow isn't on yet, right? So
we normally, the flow will normally have already started. Yeah. The main flow usually doesn't get here until the solstice, so the end of the month. But yeah, we are hardly even have any dandelions out there anymore. Like there is nothing out there. It is bone dry. So
that's yeah. So this year we've had milder temperatures, and it seems to me that everything kind of bloomed earlier than normal because of the temperatures and the amount of rain that we've had, which is probably a little bit later on. I have to feed quite a bit over the winter and everything in the fall. So it's looking like we might even have to feed more this year because everything bloomed earlier.
Yeah.
We'll see. I've got a couple mean hives out there but they're mean hives with like 4 supers on them that need to be harvested, right? And I was going to do that today and it rained. So I don't know if that was a blessing or a curse for those. Obviously couldn't get in it. But I need to get those boxes off. I haven't pulled much honey. I think I've had a total of 3 5-gallon pails, right? So that's like 180 pounds. That's nothing. But I've got a bunch on there still. So
I've got no honey. Like I say, we're feeding. The doubles that are there right now is just to help spread out the bee population and get them ready to split. So I probably won't end up with much of a honey crop this year, but I'm about to split them again. So that'll put me at 60 64-ish hives, I guess.
Right.
And then we're just going to keep doing the same thing. So hopefully the month of July, they'll keep building up. I don't know if I'll get another split out of them or not, but it depends if we get, I mean, there's very little pollen. I'm still giving them pollen patties. They're going through half a pound of pollen patty a week. And we got, 18 hives per apiary here right now. And they're going through 5 gallons of sugar water every 2 days. So.
Well, I've got my Outyard. It's kind of weird. So it's not weird really. But I put a couple of hives out at a coworker's house on the other. It's closer to my work. It's like 35 miles away from me. It's really one of those.
That's like way over there.
Well, not for me. It is. I mean, I never go to that side of town unless I'm going to work. Right. So it's just like when I'm off now, I'm going back over by work, which isn't a big thing, but I'm helping. The coworker's son is an adult, and he's high functioning autistic. So he's really into the bees. And last weekend was the first time that he actually went into the bees with me. And so I was showing a few things as we were doing an inspection on them. And as I was leaving, my coworker said, well, if you ever want Zach to go with you, just come by and get him. I'm sure he would love to do it. And I said, well, this was my first stop today. My wife's at work till 9 tonight, and I've got 2 more yards to go look at. So if he wants to go today, tell him to get his stuff on. And boy, he jumped in. He came out with his suit and boots and everything. I'm like, all right, let's go. Threw him in the truck, and we went to the Outyard and pulled a couple boxes of honey in the Outyard. So it's good to have a younger back to move some of them boxes for a minute, and he was excited about it. So I didn't put him through the endurance test of my colonies over here, because I want him to have a pleasant experience with bees, not, nope, I'm good, I'm done, after day 1. So we got here and dropped the honey off, and I'm like, all right, let's go back.
No doubt. No doubt.
I didn't want him to, and it was like 90 degrees that day. So I was like, yeah, don't want you to heat stroke out on.
Yeah, no, don't overdo it the first time. It's supposed to be enjoyable, right?
Yeah. So the Outyard is doing. Now, when I say my Outyard, the one that's down the road, that's like 6 miles from here, the hives I put out there last year were questionable if they were going to make it either way, if I kept them here or if I moved them, right? Just didn't know. And the ones that are out there still seem to be kicking them. Some, just different sizes and strengths over there. So it was really one of my goals was to split those again before this the fall and winter. Feed them up, new queen. Just haven't had the time or the money for that matter, because it's just the way it is economically for us right now. And then now I've got the 2 out there, which were swarms that I caught here, and I left them here in Pro Nukes for a few weeks to let them get established and settled up, and then I locked them in and carried them over there and put them in a 10 frame, and they seem to be doing pretty well over there.
Perfect.
So hopefully that helps them out. And then what else? It's pretty much it. It's rained every day I've had off since. So
send the rain our way.
You can have it all at this point. I mean, I don't mind.
I think we're 13 straight Saturdays of rain.
Yeah. Well, to give you an idea, the relative humidity here for the last week, I think 23% was on the high side.
23%?
Yeah.
Be good if you were drying honey.
No, it'd be it's drying everything. I can fill the bird bath in the morning, and it's completely evaporated by the time I get home.
Hey, guess what? It's supposed to rain within the next 2 hours. Let's see. Humidity, 77% humidity.
Yeah, like you say. If you look up Grand Prairie, Alberta, it'll be almost nothing.
So it rained yesterday. It's raining today. Tomorrow I'm at work. No rain. Cloudy though. And then Thursday rain, Friday rain, Saturday rain.
Don't you have to do some work up here, Bob?
Up there?
Yeah, bring the rain. Come on out, do some work up here.
Just drag it with me. Yeah, it's
up here.
well, it is keeping our temperatures down, so I guess I can be happy with that. I mean, next week we're looking at mid 80s mostly.
Yeah,
it is threatening low 90s, but that's
we seem to get a what do you call it? An area alert. So where it comes out over top of your cell phones and everything like that, and you have to pay attention to every one because there's so many fires and stuff around here. So many evacuation notices, emergency alert. See, I got a unicorn correcting me over here. But yeah, you got to look and read every one of them because there's so many fires. The next one could be, telling you to get out. So it's,
now, what is that doing? I mean, obviously, it's. I've heard it's actually a good thing for nature. Not the year it's happening, but it's burning all the dead stuff as well, the undergrowth. But then,
so yes and no. So a fire will definitely renew the forest. Absolutely, there's no question about that. Part of it up here, though, is our forests aren't that old. So in Alberta and, well, a lot of parts across Canada, except for the national parks and stuff like that, the part of what the government does and the forest companies up here do is they will actively harvest the older forest to try and keep that fuel source down. We're having areas burnt last year, because it kills those trees. Well, now they're dead. They've dried out over the past year. So now that's a real good fuel source.
Right.
And I mean, there's lots of discussions up here right now too. And, I'm not a conspiracy theorist kind of guy, but it's interesting that just about every fire that we're fighting up here right now has started upwind from a community or upwind from a major structure or upwind. Like, we've had no thunder or lightning storms go through. Are some of them possibly started by quads or cigarettes? Sure, absolutely. But there's just too many coincidental things going on to think that I personally think some of them are being started. So as sad as that sounds.
Unfortunately, it doesn't surprise me if that were the case nowadays. We used to have that. What was that commercial, Mike, with Smokey Bear? Only you
can prevent forest fires,
right?
Oh yeah,
that one. But so that doesn't really surprise me. And then Brad was telling me that, it came within like a half a mile from his place too at one time.
Yeah, actually, I made a little video when I went out there here. What was that, 3 weeks, a month ago, whatever? So that's going to actually be uploaded on my channel here. Might have even been today, I think. But
I actually stood in the same spot you did as well, by the Step Farm sign.
There you go. But Ian actually thought it was funny. He actually thought we photoshopped that or AI'd it or something. It's like, nope, we were actually there. So
did he really not? Was he like really too busy for you guys to come over?
Oh yeah, no, he did. We were talking to him. We ended up getting lost. So typical James fashion. Why stick to the main highway when you can take another road and see where that goes? So it was funny because he's like, "Where are you at?" And we were telling him we're way down here. And he's
like, this crazy sign.
Yeah, he's like, "What on earth are you doing there?" So, but no, he did. And as you know, I run a business, Alan. They have a family farm and stuff. We totally get it. I mean, when a business meeting is called, it's called. That has to take precedence. So totally get it. But we are still giving him a hard time, anyways. In fact, I think I texted him. I says, "Okay, but I'm warning you, you might get bobbed."
You might get bobbed. Sit here and drink beer at your sign for a little while. Eat some ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's funny. That is really funny.
But anyways, what time is it here? It's 6:30. So I'm probably going to sign off here, guys. I got to go out and climb the ladder and pull some cards and get.
Did your cameras get them this time or no?
My understanding is 2 of them were caught. 2 of the 4 were caught, but of course not before they did some damage out there. We'll see. So
I would start booby trapping the place. If you're in the States, man, you might have punji stakes and butterfly mines and
I wish. It's just no, we'll let the law, take its course. And the sad part is these guys are usually repeat offenders. The police usually know who they are, and unfortunately our legal system and justice system up here seem to protect the criminals, not the ones that are having the actions or theft on it.
Right.
It's frustrating. That's all I can say.
Well, they didn't get anything extremely valuable, did they?
They did not get into the bee barn, but we do have a house there. They smashed a couple of the big picture windows. There's probably still $5,000 or $6,000 worth of damage, I'm going to guess. So, but and over what, the sad part is just what everybody watching too. I mean, if somebody was in that dire need and they needed a helping hand, ask me.
Right.
Chances are pretty good. I'm going to do whatever I can to help you.
Yeah.
So
that's unfortunate.
It's the world we live in today.
Well, knock on wood, the bees are a great deterrent unless you're a beekeeper to come up here. Most people don't come walking around because they're worried they're going to get stung.
Well, as you know, that's what got the last people that broke into the bee barn. That was in the middle of the winter, and all the bees were coming out the door. You could actually see from the hives that they knocked over. And there was this perfect patch where the vehicle was, where there was no bees. So on both sides and all around it, there was bees everywhere on the snow. See, that their vehicle was filled with bees. So
Right.
I actually would have paid money to see that.
James, you'll appreciate this. I was talking to a friend in my driveway. He says, you have a swarm. I said, where is it? It's right above your Suburban, full of bee equipment. That's where it went, right inside my car. Took me 3 hours to go through the equipment and get them in a box.
There you go.
So Mike and I chatted back and forth a little bit on Messenger, and I saw the video your buddies shared, and
where I said, "This is bullshit."
Yeah, that one. So how did that unfold? Because I know you were trying to do
the day before. I had harvested a bunch of swarm cells on top of that honey super, and some of the cells were broken and stuff. And the bees that came off the frames were still wouldn't leave those queen cells. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I took the swarm rustler and I sprayed it in a pro nuke right where they were, and they started to go into it because I wanted to use my car in the afternoon. I had to go super up some hives. So I got out of work early. We had lunch, and then we were sitting there talking, and that's when the swarm came in. It avoided 2 swarm traps and went in my car.
big cavity for them to grow in there.
Oh yeah, and then about time I almost got them all, and they went into a swarm trap that was in the back, a couple honey supers to the right, and then a honey super with some brood frames below it. And they're all nascent off and come in this direction. So I'm trying to figure out where they are at, where the queen is. So I went with the biggest cluster and I had a dolly. I put a couple hive bodies on and put the bottom board on right at the height of the Suburban. And I put a couple boxes and started pulling the frames of bees and putting them in the box. And then there's still each group is nascent offing, come this way. So then I pulled the swarm trap right over and put I had a little stick I put from one to the other, and they're facing each other, nascent offing in the opposite direction, come this way. Then all of a sudden you see the ones in the swarm trap turn around and start marching across the stick. And then the rest of them that were on the other side, I just went and got some honey and put it on a brood frame and let them all climb up on that. And I kept shaking them onto the.
So you had sprayed the swarm lure before you went out there. It was in the.
I did that at 6 a.m.
And it was in the back of your vehicle.
It was in there to get the bees from cutting the swarm cells out. I didn't think it would bring another complete hive in. It was a big hive too.
So you would say it works?
Yeah, well, you should have seen when I first sprayed that box. The ones that were just there in the morning went crazy and started going right in.
Let's see. Let me see.
Anyways, I got to jump off here, guys.
All right, we'll see you later, James. Thanks for
coming. James.
Let's see if I can find that. There it is. All right, let me post this up here and present this. I don't have the sound going because you'll hear all the dings and everything, but we could share it so everybody can see it. You had all the old equipment and the swarm trap on top there. I assume the one with the pink lid is the one with the spray in it.
Yep.
And it brought a brand new swarm in. Hey, at least you could have just gave him a fresh cell there.
I have them.
And they moved right into the back of your vehicle.
Yeah,
there.
Behind the Pro Nuke, you'll see a swarm trap. They were in that. The boxes on the left and the boxes on the right. And then about 4 o'clock, the skies turned black and we got a torrential thunderstorm.
Yeah, it looked like it was kind of overcast that day.
But the hive was underneath the
trap there.
Yeah, so they did all right. They stayed all the way.
How long did you have the back of the truck open there?
Had it open all night.
Oh, it was open all night.
Because it was full of bees from doing what I'd done the day before.
Well, they found it. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
That looked like how many pounds of bees do you say that was, do you think?
I don't know. That the super was just full. You couldn't even see through it. And
was that a Michael Palmer setup, the 2 nukes?
That's what they were going on. They were supposed to be going out that afternoon. I had to box up some hives.
Yeah, it's looked like a lot of bees.
It was fun.
Your buddy's like, looks like you got a swarm.
That's what I said. So where is it? He says it's over your Suburban. Couldn't hear it at that point. Then it moved in, and then it did a nice big long wave going. I have a big white enclosed trailer, and on the other side is a swarm trap. And I said, well, maybe they're gonna go. And then they turned right around and made a beeline into the back.
That's crazy. I think Randy Klingon posted the video last year where he used the swarm lure and he had boxes sitting on the back of his pickup truck, and they've landed right in the back of his truck. So that's kind of cool. At least you didn't have to go anywhere to get them; they were right there.
Yeah, usually they only take me a few minutes to catch. I had to go through the whole friggin' back of my car full of hardware.
Todd said, "Who needs a bee trailer? You can provide mobile pollination with your Suburban. Just drive it out there."
That's what I'm thinking. I asked my friends if they were going to go out and look for Suburbans on Craigslist.
That's pretty cool. Hey, Corey, good to see you. Man, Corey's been putting some videos up on the Book of Faces as well. Let's see. And I got too much stuff over here for sure.
So How your Outyards doing, Bob?
They seem to be doing pretty well. It's just been kind of a weird year in general. I don't remember this time of year being this mild temperatures.
Do you feel that your home yard is a little less irritated, other than your cranky hives?
Yeah, I mean, and believe it or not, I've only got, I think, one colony that seems to have beetles in it. The rest seem to be doing pretty good to keep the beetles out. So I think they're at the proper strength, but I don't usually get spring swarms that much. Usually it's like after the honey flow type swarms when they've just gotten, really large and decide it's time to go. So that's why I was going to try to split those colonies if I could manage to get some queens. I don't know that that's going to happen this year. And I just have, I have terrible queen return rate here. Dragonflies, birds, whatever it is, they just don't seem to.
It's kind of late in the season for you.
Yeah, now it is. So that's why I was looking at, if anybody was replacing their queens, like you said, you were grafting queens, and you're probably just doing splits at this time. But if you were going to replace queens instead of, replace them, I was going to take people's zombies. If they had them, I would take them from them. That's the only thing is it's shipping then. So it's one of those things that just trying to figure it out, trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. Or a little bit earlier in the season, I did make some little small splits, and some of those did have queens. And then you come back and the boxes aren't full, but they've already started making new queen cells in there after, she started laying up. I did have one that was doing really good. I mean, laid a slab of brood, and then I ended up transplanting that queen into another colony that looked like it had lost its queen. So it right now it's doing all right. It's just not very strong, but they should have tons of resources in there, so that's good. And then just not being able to check them as often, because when I'm off, it's raining. It's just been like that the whole time.
We've had a lot of rain this year. We've had a lot of good nectar flows, though.
Ours have been okay. Okay. Now, my mean colonies, they're all about as tall as me, because I open them up. If it's time for another box, I just drop a box on them and leave them alone and go away. The other ones, I mean, I've gotten three boxes out of the Outyard down the road, and haven't pulled really any. Well, I pulled about a half a box of frames off of some of my smaller hives out here, which basically gave me, between what I pulled from the Outyard and that half box, gave me one full extractor full to spin out, which gave me just under 10 gallons of honey from that. And I had spun out a box a couple weeks ago, and that gave me a 5 gallons. So I'm right at about 15 gallons of honey that I've pulled so far this year. And if I just go out to the other colony and pull those boxes, I'm probably another, I'm going to say, maybe 30 more gallons, which is it's not a great honey year, but I don't have the numbers this year that I had.
Yeah.
Bob, what would you recommend for my control with honey supers on? I use the tablets right now. Yeah, so that's the thing, Charlie, with the flow on, even the tablets, they're probably not going to touch that much, just because they have the nectar flow, right? But as soon as that nectar flow shuts off, they're going to go to town on those. really, I think the only thing that we're legally allowed to do with the supers on is OA. And I don't even really do it. I usually just wait till after I pull the supers off and then treat them then, if I'm going to treat them. But, you know, for over a year, the only thing I've used is Appy tablets. So hopefully that helps the strong ones survive. And if the weak ones can't make it, you know, it's kind of that natural selection process. Because I saw an article. Where did I see the article? It might even been in the No Life Beekeeping chat, where they're basically saying the big colony collapse was from viruses from Varroa. You know, I think everything is pretty much blamed on the Varroa now. Ray Charles could have saw that coming, you know. Oh, well, it's Varroa killed him. Well, but all those guys that, you know, I would like to say that all the commercial guys, they're pretty proactive when it comes to treating, I would think. And so if they're becoming resistant to what we're treating them with, then yeah, there's issues. There's definitely going to be issues with that. So hopefully somebody comes up with something that that will stop that. I know the colonies that have made it here for me with just using Appy tablets, they're pretty strong. Yeah, formic is allowed here in the States, Corey. Problem is, like here, for it to be below 30C, what is 30C is what? 70? Doesn't it say formic has to be like 70s, Mike?
No, I think it's under 80.
Under 80?
I don't know. I stopped using it.
Yeah, so kind of like Corey, how you guys have a long winter, we have a long summer that is usually in the 80s and 90s and 100s this time of year. So let's see. Hey, Ricky. Yeah, Ricky, it's been warm in the 80s. Like it's 79 degrees right now, but it's been rainy down here. And I think next week it's supposed to get to low 90s. But if the rain goes away, it could get up to 100 pretty easy around here. And last year, I think at certain times it got up to like 110. So, and I've started seeing all except for my license hives. The rest of the hives will beard a little bit. So you can. One day I went out there, and when I came home, it looked like the whole colony was hanging out on the outside. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Look who we got here, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only a bee man, but it's that bee man.
That bee man.
Hey, Brad, good to see you.
How you guys doing?
Hey, Brad.
Doing pretty good, man. I can't complain. I got the day shift work.
I don't want to hear it if you do have something. If you do have to complain.
Bob, if you're going to complain, I'm leaving.
Yeah. Just want a quick sound check here. There's some background noise on my side. Is it bothering you at all?
I can't hear a thing.
Okay, good.
Everything's good, man. How's things with you?
Oh, busy. Busy day. I gotta go back out when the bees go home. I gotta go back out, close my sea can because it looks like the back of Mike's Suburban right now. I was sorting getting my comb out accessible, and the bees found me and took over.
Did the
Of course, they go to bed about 11 o'clock here, right? This time of year.
It's like the sun just dips down below the earth and then comes right back up.
Oh yeah, the sun is still like, if I were to point to it, it's like that high in the sky right now at 8 o'clock.
Have they gotten the fire semi under control where you're at?
Well, the fires aren't near me, but but northern Manitoba, yeah, it's pretty bad situation.
Well, a few weeks ago they were close to you though, weren't they?
Yeah, there was a couple of days. See, the fire that was near me wasn't a forest fire per se. It was a marsh fire. So it was pretty bad. There was a lot of homes that were threatened. I know there was one outbuilding that was burned, but I don't think any homes were burned. They had water bombers. They had helicopters dropping water. They had 4 fire departments out here fighting fires. So it was pretty bad for a couple of days, but that was it for us locally. It got within about a quarter mile of my house, and like at the road there, and it didn't cross the road, thankfully.
That's a good thing. So we'll
yeah.
count our blessings on that one.
Yeah, very very fortunate. We're ready to start stocking the camper van. I thought if we're going to take off in something, it should be something we can live in for a few days.
Well, when you come down, if you came down here, nothing's burning. It just feels like everything's burning because it's, 80, 90, 100 degrees, depending where you're at.
It's been hot here, but the last few days it's cooled right down. Yesterday was quite cool. I almost had to put long pants on, like that cold.
Does it actually, I know it gets warm, but you guys always seem to have a breeze there. Does it just ever get like here where it's just like no air blowing and it's just hot?
It can not a lot. No.
Yeah,
no.
Sometimes here you just like it's 77% humidity right now. So you just walk outside and feel like
it's actually 77% humidity here.
Oh, wow.
But it's only 17 degrees C. So much cooler.
Yeah, it's like it's 79 here right now, so let's see what the
it's about 35 or so.
The F to C conversion does for me on my little thing here.
I'm gonna guess 35. Somewhere around 35.
25 right now.
25. Sorry, I meant to say 25.
25.
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking 35. That's pretty hot.
Tomorrow's supposed to get up to 31. And next week it's supposed to get 33 is what I'm showing as the high. So it's and actually I know that's hot. However, for here it's unusually cool. And that sounds weird to say, 90 degrees is unusually cool. Well, when it's normally 110, that's pretty cool. 20 degrees difference.
I can't take that. So I got probably 50 queens in my incubator right now.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You're gonna do a lot of splitting, or are you just doing those for other people?
No, I'm trying to make as many as I can for myself. I got to build up again. I got hardly anything left, so it's going to be tough. I don't know really how it's going to turn out, but I have to do my best, right?
Right. That's where I'm at right now. I have a terrible return rate on grafted queens. They just don't come back for whatever reason, whether it's dragonflies, birds, get lost, who knows, or they come back and get attacked and, they've already made a new queen cell in there and they're like, we're done with you already.
You've been gone so long.
Yeah, you've been gone so long.
You're coming back.
So we started without you. It's that kind of deal. So, but yeah, it's been good because this year's been all right. I know I'm going to get hate mail on this, but I was to the point to where beekeeping was starting to feel like work. And when it started feeling like work, it all of a sudden became less enjoyable for me.
I got to the point 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
it is work.
It's supposed to be fun, right? So it got last year. It just wasn't as fun as it had been in years past, and then like we've talked about before on the channel, every year you're getting that die off, and it seems like I'm rebuilding every year from the beginning again. And it was more of a mental challenge. And get out of here, cat. And and so it just was a little bit of a mental challenge, and then going to work and not having the ability to get in the colonies like just whenever I want to. I have to plan that out that, hey, Sunday I'm doing this, Monday I'm doing this. If it's raining Sunday, we're doing it Monday. If it's raining, we're not doing it either day. But, it was having a pretty much a set plan to where I knew I was going out on these days and doing these things. And then guess what? Schedule changes. Boom, boom. And now I've got Saturdays off and Tuesdays off. So I'm like, okay, I'm going out Saturday. Oh, it rained. Couldn't go out on Saturday. Well, I'll go out on Tuesday. Guess what? Rain Tuesday. Now I've got to wait till Saturday to try to go in, and hopefully it's not raining Saturday, or it's just overcast and I'll take the ass kicking for my mean hives that day, but it is what it is. But it's just to that point to where usually by the end of June, first weekend in July, my honey's off my colonies, and I've gotten some honey, but not like some crazy this is the best honey year ever. That's not been the case. And for whatever reason, whether it was struggling colonies trying to get to the point, or I'm replacing queens, or whatever. But it's been more enjoyable from the aspect of I finally bit the bullet and moved those 2 colonies out to my coworker's place, which is not a blessing for the drive that I have to do, but her 32-year-old autistic son is really excited about it. Good. So when I pull up, he's standing out there waiting on me to pull up so we can do beekeeping, right? And when I went out there, he had his brand new white bee suit on. I mean, looked like he just came off the bee room shelf. You know what I mean? And I took him a smoker and a hive tool. So building this little setup there and kind of just pulling frames and pointing out, hey, this is an egg. That's a larva. This is pollen. This is nectar. Hey, look, there's the queen, so maybe it's sentimental for me when I first started, but now I'm getting to share that with somebody else live and get to see their reaction. I took them my Beekeepers Bible over there and said, now this was a gift from somebody to me, so I'm only going to loan you this so you can read it. And while I was there, we were sitting down having a beverage, and he was already starting to read through it and gain some knowledge, history and stuff of beekeeping. So it's been really exciting from that aspect. And matter of fact, he jumped in my truck and we drove to my Outyard, and we had a few boxes of honey to pull off of there. And boy, I used his younger back than mine. Hey, look, we got honey. And I shook the bees back in the colony. I said, hey, do me a favor and put this on the back of the truck. He toted it over there. Had a nice little propolis stripe across his brand new suit. Now it's not new anymore.
Starting to get some mess on that suit. That's a rite of passage.
Yes.
I'll be right back. I gotta go make a phone call.
All right, Mike. But it has kind of rejuvenated my desire, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I totally understand.
It's
feeding
different.
off somebody else's enthusiasm for what is kind of a, just work for me.
Yeah,
is great. That's why I love having new people in the apiary, because they remind me of all the cool things there are about this.
Yeah, looking behind you there, to me, that's a ton of colonies. I mean, obviously, it's less than you traditionally have in your yard, but that's a lot of boxes to go through, right? So it could definitely be a chore. Obviously, we start this as a labor of love, but over several years, well, we've talked about it before. Well, now I've got customers that depend on me for honey, and now I feel like I hate to say it this way, I'm not beholden to anybody from that aspect, but you do feel dedicated to making sure that they can still come to you to get honey, right? It's a responsibility at that point. And so, like I've got people at work. Oh, now that I'm in the big call center with everybody and not with just my class. Oh, you're the honey guy. How do you know I'm the honey guy? I've never, right? Everybody's heard that I've got honey. So now I've got to bring my samples in so they can taste it, which is going to make me sell, which is great. But now what about the people that drive all this way to come to my house to buy it? I got to make sure that I take care of them. So, so it's been a challenge mentally. I mean, I haven't pushed it. Obviously, the rain has helped with me not sitting out there and selling honey, but it is it's definitely taken on a life of its own at work as far as the honey and just it. What I guess one of the things I do like about it is the ability to be creative, especially with creamed and flavored honeys, is that someone can tell me one week, hey, you know what would be a great flavor? Espresso. And with Amazon, I can get the stuff. By next week, voila, espresso honey, right? So, so that's a pretty good feeling for me, that aspect. If I could get, you know, now I've got a little bit of help with a little bit of younger back. Now, granted, there's only 2 colonies out there, but his mom already got him a licensed poly hive. It's just a single deep, but now I'm looking to try to split one of those colonies over to the licensed colony. And I made her order the feeder for the top because I said, that's great. You just take the top off, put the feed in and close it back up and you're golden. So kind of working, and it's getting to share that experience where when I go work, I'm just by myself doing the work, and you know, all they want to know is, do you have any combed honey? No, but I've got all these great flavors you can try. You know, so it's fun and interesting. It's just after a while, it's probably like anything, and maybe I'm the only one out of the 59 people watching that feels that way, right? But sometimes when you have that day off, maybe first choice isn't to go out in the heat and do that, right? Maybe it's, especially that my days are split up now. Maybe it's, hey, I just want to chill out today or something like that. So we'll see. But right now, I know I've got to get it done and get the feed on and get them ready for the winter and get that stuff done. But it's just an enjoyment that getting to share it with somebody else. Because if you go to a beekeeper, and like if I go to Sam's, I'm not teaching Sam anything new. We're just talking about bees, like we do here. Yeah. When I go there, he's trusting me to know what I'm doing to help him, right? So that's kind of the difference, I guess. So yeah, it's just been new and exciting and fun for me. So just haven't had the time to dedicate to it. And she's like, well, you could always come over after work. I could if I want to get the crap stung out of me, but you know, I didn't want to tell her that because you know, it's sun after about 5 o'clock, you know, they're all home again, and they're not digging it. So hey, Jason,
I totally understand, and I always feel for the sideliners and the people who got a day job and whatnot. You know, Mike, you've been trying to do your work, and every weekend it rains.
Yep, I tried to run 2 days of beekeeping into one.
You know, I'm very, very blessed that way. That it's my full time, and there are things that take me away. Yesterday took me away from the yard, but it was a kind of a cold day, so there wasn't. It was my schedule to graft, but it was cold, and so I lined up a day away. Well, I lined up the day away, and it happened to be cold, so I didn't predict that. So
just
it worked out that way. So I did my graft today, and we'll see. We'll see. I'm always nervous. You do a graft, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
what am I gonna get this time?
Well, it's been neat seeing everybody's, you know, cell builders and everything that they've been putting up, and the videos from that. I just had, because of my schedule, I haven't been able to do that. It just, I can't. The grafting part, yeah, I could take a day off and graft, but I can't necessarily plan that 9 days from now that I'll be able to go back out and pull those and put them in an incubator, or I just can't make sure that can happen. So it's been a bit of a struggle from that. But as far as the job right now, I'm pretty much kicking butt and taking names.
Good.
Which nobody that knows me well really doubted my sales ability from that aspect. But let's face it, it's internet. If you're calling for internet, you're going to get internet. It's the add-on stuff, right? That's what's the trick sometimes, but I do a pretty good job at it. So to give you an idea, there's 350 people in the call center that have been there for the whole calendar month. And our fiscal calendar starts on the 29th and goes till the 28th of the month. Out of that, out of the 350, I'm 79. I've only been on the floor 3 days, 3 working days of it. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good in that aspect. And so we're just going to keep going. Matter of fact, it was so good that the very first thing I did with my new supervisor was listen to one of my calls where we have to sit there and they pull up the thing through the computer, and actually listening to me speaking with a customer on the phone. And at the end, she's like, yeah, there's nothing I can tell you to do better than what you did. I'm like, cool. And I went over and went to work. It's just, but it changes. One of the things, it's kind of a unique company in the fact that everything I say is not scripted, like has to be down on a piece of paper. Like I'm not following. How many times have you gotten a call from a call center and you can tell they're following, reading line by line? Yeah. There are a couple supervisors there that do have scripts. And I told my training supervisor, I will not go to one of those teams. Because if you hired me for me and my personality and the way that I communicate, then that's how I want to communicate. I don't want to communicate. I don't want to be somebody else on the phone.
They could get AI to do that job. Yeah.
So I freestyle my calls. That's what, and it goes well. By the end of the day, my numbers are where they need to be. So they haven't said anything to me about it. So we'll just keep rolling with it. And I've even made some spiff money, if you know what spiff money is.
Spiff money.
Basically, they'll say, well, some areas, like specifically Ohio and Kentucky, are offering 2 gigabyte service, 2 gigabyte download speed for fiber optics. So if we happen to sell said 2 gig service, then we get a little bit of extra money per one that we sell. Every person that has had the opportunity to buy 2 gig service that I've had has bought. So I've sold three of 3 that had the opportunity. And each one that I sell gets me eventually, whenever it happens. I don't know when it'll get paid out, but it's $50 per. So it's $150 extra money just from those 3 phone calls.
Nice.
So it is good. Makes me a little bit jealous that out in the hills of Kentucky, they're getting fiber optic 2 gig symmetrical speeds, and I can't get fiber at my house, and I live like almost in the capital city. But when they're doing these expansions, they're not putting coax cable, right? They're running the newest stuff, which makes sense. But I want to know when they're going to replace our crappy lines with new lines, right? That's what I want to know. Let's turn up the speed a little bit.
Your speed is still way better than what I have.
Yeah, you probably would be.
My service is really fast, and it's 20 meg tops.
Yeah. Our lowest service is 100 megs.
Yeah.
For like $30 a month. Well, 40 with the Wi-Fi router, but It's but yeah, it's pretty cool. Doing it. I mean,
Oh, I'm glad you're doing well. Glad you're doing well. Doing well and getting paid for it certainly is good incentive to like your job.
yes, it's different. I'm definitely not used to it because literally I go into a desk similar to what I'm at, and it's got 2 monitors, and I've got a headset on, and I'm anchored. My butt is anchored to that chair for 2 hours at a time, and there's no control. You don't know what's coming in, what you're going to do.
Yep.
You can't really talk to your neighbor and joke and cut up because your phone could ring at any time, and you just have to answer it because when it rings in, when I get the tone in my ear, it's picked up. It's not like I push a button for it to pick up. It's live. So they hear you talking some craziness to your buddy, and it rings. You just told them everything.
Yeah.
So it is. It's up to 100 megabits. Your speeds actually may vary. That is true. Mostly, I even on Wi-Fi here at my computer, I'm getting 800 plus on a gig service at my desk. And that's with my wife in there watching TV and everything else streaming, so it's not that bad. Wes says, speaking of bees, I am 75, thinking about trying grafting. Any tips? Thinking about the cloak board. Brad and Mike are probably the two.
I haven't grafted much.
Well, my very first question for anybody who's showing interest in doing that would be, how many cells do you want to raise? How many do you want to raise? And how many do you want to raise at a time? And that'll dictate a lot of the options that are available to you. And my other question, because you mentioned cloak board, what is it about the cloak board that makes you go that direction? A lot of people use cloak board and they really like it. I know of a commercial beekeeper. They raise tons and tons of queens and they use cloak boards.
Cloak board is just basically like a double screen board with the exits and entrances on it, right?
No, it's got a slide. So what it does is it allows you to build a queenless cell starter and then just conveniently pull the slide out and turn that into a queen right cell finisher.
Okay, so once they build the cells, you pull out the slot, and then it's just like having a super with a bunch of queen cells in it.
Then it's just a double with a queen excluder. Is all it is. A queen right finisher, they say, feeds and finishes the cells nicer. Cloakboard method seems somewhat simpler. Okay, so maybe 10 or 20. Okay, 10 or 20, you can do it really, really easily. You can use cloakboard, but that's specialized equipment. I wouldn't say if you're going to do 10 or 20, you should bother with a cloakboard.
If you have one, though, I mean.
Well, I mean, if you have one, sure. But Randy Oliver actually described a method in a video that I saw a while back, and really, in essence, what he did was he took a nice strong double, and he moved. He found the queen, make sure the queen's in the bottom, and then he would move. I think frames of brood and bees into the second box, but that second box he would actually lift that off and put a bottom board in there.
Facing the opposite direction?
And yeah, facing opposite direction or somewhere else entirely, really. And so that made that a queenless cell starter there. And you could do 10 or 20 cells in that. Certainly you could do 10 at a time. do 10, and then do 10 more. And then after 24 or even 48 hours, then you take that second and then you just put it back on the, above the queen excluder of the original colony. So you haven't interrupted the colony at all. You haven't, the queen is still laying, everything is fine. So you don't have to take a bunch of resources to make a dedicated cell builder, like I've done. So if you just need to do one round of queens, that's probably the easiest way to do it. And it doesn't take any special equipment at all. You just need a spare bottom board, really.
That's the I've got I see Jason there. I've got a couple of the Bob Binney double screen bottom boards, and that's kind of what I did when at the beginning of last year I had a really strong colony, and I just basically picked up the top box, inserted that double screen board, put the box back down, and then the old bees fly back around from, because
you can use a double screen board instead of a bottom board, and that'll get some heat from the bottom into the top. I like, I like the method. What I like about the method I described was takes no special equipment at all, not even double screen board or anything like that. And if you want to go that direction, use double screen boards, you want to use cloak boards, you want to use whatever, that's all cool. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of times when people just want to do 10 cells, they don't have any special. I don't have cloak board. That's why I don't do it, because I don't have one.
Mine, I guess my thing is, talking about specialized equipment like that, obviously, I've got the greatest gadget to bee ratio known to beekeepers. However, my issue becomes storage of equipment, right? I don't have, like you do, a sea can or a garage that I can put it in. I just have my honey house. So if we look at it that way, if I put all my equipment in my honey house, then every time I need to use my honey house, I have to unload it all. And it's just regular doors. So I don't have any like garage door or anything like that.
I spent hours today unloading my sea can so that I could get at the equipment I want.
It's a challenge. And at least you have your tractor there that you can.
Yeah, it was mostly being very careful with the tractor to get things in and out, because I have to stack everything, and so it's
right.
It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's what I have to do, right? And I'm blessed to have it, but throw $4,000 at it and you can have a sea can too.
Hope said he grafted 30 plus cells in a 5-frame nuke this year.
Yeah.
Just having the bee power, right? That's what you need, the bee power in the box. Todd made, from what I saw in his pictures, I haven't talked to him recently, but from what I saw in Todd's video, he made some pretty strong cell builders there.
Good.
When he did his, so.
Well, the graft, like last week I did that shakeout of my cell starter.
Mm-hmm.
Starter finisher, really. The graft that I did after that one, holy smokes. It was my best take, and they were the best looking cells I've produced yet. So I don't know if the shakeout did it, but maybe it did.
You just shook the whole thing out and the old bees flew back?
Well, I didn't move anything, so all the old bees found their way, but I just put the ramp on there and then shook all the bees on it, and they just all walk in. Kind of does something to their brain.
It's like,
resets them.
Formed.
Yeah, I think it must be that. Exactly what it is doesn't really matter. It's the fact that it works is what matters.
I thought you said you did a Nasonoff split.
I did a Nasonoff split. Well, it was kind of a Nasonoff split.
That was
funny. Somebody said, well, that's kind of like a Terranov, and well, the fact that you're shaking bees onto a ramp is like a Terranov split, but that's where the similarity ends.
Similarity stops,
it's
right?
Not a Terranov split at all.
Let me see. Roy said he's used the Randy Oliver Queen Right builder with some good success. I haven't had any good success. And it's not the actual grafting in the builder part. It's just the returning of the mated queens. That's where it fails for me. So
I get pretty good returns here, especially in July. They're off the charts. Get 100% in July is not unusual.
I even had a I don't know if you've ever had this before. I had a hive that went queenless, and I did have a 2-frame that did have a successfully returned mated queen. And the population in the hive that went queenless obviously dwindled down, right? There was no resources in there. So I just dropped the 2-frame nuke back in that box to utilize whatever bees were still there. And then as I went through the yard, I had a pro nuke with me, and I was shaking nurse bees in there and did the ramp, right? Put a nuke bottom board there and just shook out those nurse bees on there to let them walk in. The next day I came back, and most of those bees did make it in to the colony, but where the ramp was on the bottom, leaning up against the bottom board, there was a bunch of dead bees right there. Like some of them got rejected, or maybe the ones returning that were foraging got rejected by the colony, because now technically there's a new queen, new dominant structure in the colony, right? Because they had queen cells and stuff. I don't know. I've never had that before, but there went Mike's phone ring. But but that happened this year. But that 2-frame nuke seemed to take over the colony, and with the new queen, and I guess it's last time I checked, they were still in there kicking it, not very strong, but still doing their thing. And maybe I start pulling some frames of brooding bees, spraying them down with some sugar water, and adding it to it to give it a little more strength, and then I didn't want to drop feed on it because I didn't want any robbing of the colony while it was weak. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, overall, pretty.
DC says he keeps getting queens in his builder. Where are the queens coming from? Are your cells emerging early, or are they coming from outside? And if it's the latter, do you have a queen excluder over your entrance? Is what I would ask. And Wes asks, oh, hey, I can do this.
Yeah.
Except Loma Vista got in the way.
Todd stepped in front of that bullet.
So Wes, would the top box strictly be brood? So if you're talking about a queen right finisher, when I was using queen right finisher, I would put young brood in the top box. It could be eggs, but typically you want the young brood that needs to be fed in the top box surrounding your cells, so that's where your feeding bees are located, up in there.
And it brings them up. Be my luck. Let's see. Oh, you missed a cell and it hatched.
Yeah, that's timing, right? I wrestled with that my first year. The queens come out early and
wipe everybody out.
Builder, and so I gave up my first year. I just had enough. But yeah, that's why it's all timing.
But it's definitely, once you get it right, like it took my first time, DC, the first graft I did, that happened. There was I don't know if I missed a cell, if a virgin flew in or what, but the first time wiped everybody out. Yep. And then after that, I just regrafted immediately, because everything, once I got that queen out of there and there was no eggs or anything for them to deal with, then all of a sudden, hey, it works. When you graft it the second time. She's making me a super bunny. Hey, let her go. Let her go then, if she's doing good.
So, I'm gonna find that video that Randy Oliver described this situation, how to do this. So I'm gonna just kind of
Yeah, you're gonna.
go find that video and I'll post that link to that.
Okay.
It was not long ago I saw it. I was given. I give that link to people all the time because it's an excellent video. It's a very long video, but I'll start the video link
That's what she said.
kind of where he starts talking about that method.
Let's see. Got.
It's queen rearing for the small producer is in the title. So if you search for queen rearing for the small producer, you should find it.
Queens for pennies. Is that another one?
That's part of his site. Yeah. So, okay, I've got it here. So I'll just do this, copy, and then I should be able to post. I can post as Bob. Look at this.
Yeah, through the StreamYard.
Yeah. So that's the link to the video. And it starts at the point where he talks about this method that I was referring to.
We don't want to copyright her. I would I would put it up.
What's that?
Would it copyright if I put it up?
I don't know. You could do that.
I don't know. We'll see. That's the worst case.
Queens for Pennies he refers to that. Queens for Pennies is part of his website, and this was just a presentation he did for someone.
All right, let me see. All right, don't get mad if it's crazy. Also share audio. That works. Let's go to that. Also share audio. What the heck? All right. Oh, that was stupid. Sorry, my fault.
Queens for pennies, and there's a whole PowerPoint right there that you guys can look at on your own for just raising a dozen queen cells on your own. But my impression was you guys wanted to learn about scaling up a little bit more than a dozen at a time, where you're doing a few hundred or 1,000 or so at a time. And it all depends upon how many you're going to make. And if you look at the books and talk to other commercial queen producers, you're going to get all kinds of different ways of doing this. And there's not that any of them are wrong. Here's the thing that I found is that beekeepers tend to make things as difficult as they possibly can. I don't know why beekeepers do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a really simple method. And there's a lot more complicated, more difficult, more equipment methods out there. But this is the method that I've used now for, 40 years here, producing queens. We produce, we produce about 3,000 queens a year, and then we sell a few thousand queen cells every springtime ourselves. So we've tested this out thoroughly. And I do have one word of caution right here, is that don't start rearing any queens until you got somebody for them to mate with. So if you wait until you see drones emerging in your colonies, which means that then the drones will have enough time to mature by the time the queens are ready to mate. By mature, I mean the adult drones. After they emerged, they need to go for another almost 3 weeks before they're sexually mature and ready to start mating. So your signal for rearing queens is when there's drones out there for them to mate with. Okay, so this method is really simple. I went out just a few minutes ago and took this photograph and put it into the presentation of the equipment that you would need. And it's very simple. You only are going to need these 4 pieces of equipment. One is just a swarm board, which can be made out of an inner cover by cutting a notch right here and then covering up the inner cover hole. A grafting tool, here's a Chinese grafting tool right here. Then you got to build a frame with some notches and your cell bars and the frame to hold them right here. And then these plastic cell cups. And we really like this brand of cell cup, the JZ's, BZ's one sold in the US. And there's all kinds of cell cups. And yes, once again, you can make it as complicated as you want. You can have systems where you can try to force the queen to lay eggs inside the cells. Once you've done grafting, you would never, ever think about doing all that really difficult stuff. What I like about this system is that you start with a double deep, a strong double deep, and you end with a strong double deep. Goes right back to this. So you don't have to devote anything special. You're just going to rearrange this double deep right here. And I'm going to go through all this step by step, but I'll just show you in advance. You start with a double deep. You're going to split the top box off and the bottom box. And out of that, you're going to, in an empty box, you're going to put in 4 frames, 2 drawn comb, a frame with some young larvae, and a frame with pollen in that. And then you're going to stack the whole thing back together like this, with only 5 of those frames in this box, and 4 frames right now. The queen being down in here underneath the queen excluder. Then what you're going to do is you're going to feed them sugar syrup here. You're going to add the queen cells right in here, and they're going to be in there until just for 1 day. And then a day later, you're going to come back and combine these 5 frames and these 5 frames right in here, and finish the cells in this double deep again. So you're only in this configuration for 1 day. You're going to put the thing right back the same way it was, except for the queen's going to be down below after that. And then when these queen cells are ripe, you're going to pull them out and then put your hive back to the way it was. So it's a very, very simple system to do here. So we're going to start off with the cell starter right here. And so this is called the cell starter. This one temporarily for 24 hours up above. And this will be the cell finisher down here for the rest of the days. You can leave them actually in here up until almost day 12 after you graft. They start, queens start emerging usually on day 11.5 to day 12.
Great news, Spectrum Internet customers. Now you can try Spectrum Mobile risk-free for a full year at no cost to
Hey,
you.
look who it is. It's Spectrum. There we go.
So for the cell starter for 24 hours. The best time to rear queen cells and to make queens is when the colonies are wanting to swarm by themselves. So Pierre Giovinazzo up in Quebec did a very good study on that, looking at the quality of queens and the mating of queens reared at different times during the season. You get your best queens reared during swarming season. So you want to start off with healthy colonies. This is Anna we trained to do queen rearing for us, oh geez, 5 years ago. And she comes back every springtime now, and she does all of our queen rearing for us, and just works 5 days a week and rears just a ton of queens for us. And she just does an incredible job. So start off with good, healthy looking colonies and low mite levels. If you got high mite levels, you're going to have virus issues with your queen. So you want to start with very, very healthy colonies. And you also need lots and lots of nurse bees. So you got to have some strong colonies. Now, if you're just rearing one batch of 50, you don't need a whole bunch. You can just do it with just one strong hive. If you're rearing multiple batches at a time, then you may want to have some colonies on the side to steal from. Okay, so here we go. Here's our queen right colony with the entrance going in this direction. And we're going to set this up with the 5 frames here with no queen here. Absolutely, you have to make sure that there is not a queen, not a virgin. Do not believe for a second that when you open a hive, there's only one queen. About 5% of the time, there's going to be, especially in the springtime, you're going to see 2 queens in that hive. And if you get that queen in here, you won't get any take in of the cells. So you want to make sure that there's no queen here and no queen up here. And then you're going to put your swarm board in here, and your interest will be to be back. Easiest way to make a swarm board is just simply to take an inner cover right here. I just you can tape this over. I have those swing around aluminum plate right here that covers that hole, and then cut a notch here, 3/8.
So this part of this Wow, I'm really loud.
No, you sound fine to me.
Okay. Oh, I think I know what's wrong. Hang on. Anyway, so this I think he's really complicating it because this swarm board thing he's talking about, people are thinking, oh, what's a swarm board? I don't have one. I don't know what that is. I don't know. It's just a bottom board. Right? It's not a special piece of equipment at all. It's just a bottom board. Right? He's taking an inner cover, he's blocking the hole in the middle. He's making a larger entrance in the back. It's a bottom board. That's all I have to say about that.
Oh, yeah. Oop. Hold on. I hit the wrong button.
It's by 3/8 inch by 3 inches across is plenty, and this goes to the rear. So here it is, placed on top of the hive with the entrance to the rear. So the bee is going to fly out of this for one day. You don't care about any forager bees because forager bees don't raise queen cells. Only nurse bees rear queen cells. So in the typical swarm box, this is enclosed. There's no free flight. What I find is that if you do that, those foragers, they want to get out. They're disruptive to the colony. So I just let them just fly right out and fly back home to the bottom box, just keeping nothing but the nurses in here. It also shows you if you allow the foragers to escape in the first few hours, whether you have enough nurse bees in here. So when we check back before we do the actual grafting, we make sure that this box is still full of nurse bees. Otherwise, we'll shake extra bees into there. So the cell starter needs to be queenless. Optional. Not everybody uses a cell of young larvae, but I like a cell with some young larvae, a frame with young larvae in it. I'll talk about that a little later. One comb with fresh pollen. Fresh pollen is way better than bee bread. Contrary to what you read on the internet, nurse bees prefer fresh pollen way over fermented bee bread. They do not like fermented bee bread as much as they like fresh pollen. Then you have 2 drawn combs to the outside just so the bees, nurses have some place to store any incoming nectar or sugar syrup that you feed them. Then lots of well-fed nurse bees. Do not take these nurse bees from a poorly nutrition deprived colony. You want that take it from a colony where they're just pumping out the jelly already. And then you don't want to disrupt their behavior much. So use absolutely the minimum amount of smoke while you do this. So first thing, take your hive apart, find the queen. She's usually going to be in the center right there. And then when you find the queen, put her aside on that frame in a nuke box temporarily. This just saves you the aggravation of going, oh my God, which frame was the queen on? I can't remember. You got to go look for the queen, wonder where she is. Just put her aside temporarily into a nuke box. Okay, so that avoids you misplacing that queen while you're doing this. Now find a frame of fresh pollen. And in a double deep hive in the springtime, usually your second frame in on the lower box will have this side solid, will be fresh pollen or very freshly made bee bread right here. So we generally go down right to the bottom box, look the second frame in on the inside side and pull that frame out. Then 2 drawn combs on the outside. This gives the bees a place to put any extra incoming nectar or syrup. And here's your, out of order, there's your nice frame of fresh pollen coming in there. And mixed pollens are always the best. Now, if you don't have enough fresh pollen coming in, we keep collected pollen in the freezer. You just pull out a deep drawn comb. Go ahead and take that frozen pollen, just put it on here and then shake the frame until it all levels out. And then spray it down with some sugar syrup, let it sit for an hour, just so it absorbs that and it gets sticky. And then put this frame in, and the bees will immediately pack it in and make it into a nice fresh frame of bee bread. This makes great queen
Does that
cells.
kind of go against
feed a pollen
fresh
substitute,
pollen
but we never do. We just use fresh pollen that we keep in the freezer if necessary. But generally, we don't do any of this. We just pull out a frame of pollen. So here it is after it's been shaken in and sprayed. Then you want some young larvae. And this indicates that this colony is fairly well fed. This one's not tremendously well fed. See that this jelly here on the second instar larva is only covering about a third of the cell bottom. A really, really good, well-fed colony. The nurses will be going out, clear out to the outside right here. So these nurses are going to need extra supplemental feeding.
My name's Chris, and I got dental implants 2 years ago.
Commercial.
And this is what I look like.
There we go.
Okay, so here we go. Here is your empty cell starter box above here. Drawn comb, some young larvae facing in, and some pollen here. Now, the reason for the young larvae is that they orient the nurse bees. They do so. The nurse bees know that this space is the core of the colony because of the young larval pheromone and the bee bread here. So then they will form a cluster around those young larvae. The second thing is the stimulation of the E beta osmine, the young larval pheromone, causes the nurse bees to produce jelly. They don't have young larval stimulation, pheromone stimulation. They don't produce jelly. So they're going to sit here for a few hours, smelling these young larval pheromone and be feeding them. Once you put the queen cells in, they will preferentially feed the queen cells over the young larvae. So we don't see any problem with leaving the young larvae in here. Although some of their queen producers, they don't keep any young larvae in here. And what you're going to do, so this is a preview. We're not here yet. I'm just showing you that the queen cells, grafted queen cells, are going to go in between these frames. So let's go back here. You're going to set it up like this, let them sit for a few hours, and a few hours later, you're going to come back with the queen cells in. Okay, now you got to add bees from the brood nest. Now, if it's a good flight day, you can shake every damn bee in the whole hive up into that cell starter, and enough of the foragers and older bees will fly back to take care of the queen and the brood down below. So now I'm shaking these bees into the cell starter. The older bees will fly back. The young bees that you want to keep up here, they're going to stay inside here. And then I'm going to put 10 frames back into the bottom box, put a queen excluder over it. So here's
that would be the queen.
Here's my starter sitting right here. There's the bottom box reassembled. We put the queen back into the bottom box, put a queen excluder over it. And now you're going to take your extra 5 frames or whatever you have left over and put 5 frames back into this box. And then the starter is going to go back over the top of over a swarm board. And so eventually, so here's your 5 frames in here. Here's the 5 frames up here. You're going to wind up putting these in here the next day. Now you're going to put your starter on top over those 5 frames right here. And here's the entrance facing backwards. And here it is all put together. So temporarily, this is your starter swarm box. Now, the cooler the weather, the stronger you got to make that cell starter. We want to, even in warm weather, we want our cell starters to look like this. Just tons and tons of bees. Any older bees will fly out of the entrance and they're going to fly back home very, very quickly. So any bees in here will be young bees. And these bees don't stink. You can go into these bees with impunity. You really have to use any smoke at all because you only have young bees. This is one of the reasons I like the queen right modified swarm box. You never have stingy bees. If you use a queenless system, you got to put all your gear on. We work all day long working with these, no gear, no veil on, no gloves. It's not a problem because it's nothing but young, non-defensive bees. And then unless their abdomens are already full of nectar, we shake them down with sugar syrup afterwards and let them lick it off each other so they are well fed with syrup or nectar. And they'll just lick all this right up, no problem. But look at that. I got bees on all the combs and on the inside of the boxes here. If necessary, you want to add additional nurse bees if you don't have enough of them. What we use is a sieve box. It's just a medium super with a queen excluder nail or screwed to the bottom. And it's nice to touch to put aluminum on the inside. It makes it easier to brush the bees off. So here's a sieve box sitting over the cell starter. You see the bees clustering here. And now we're going to pull out brood frames of the young brood. Look to make sure you don't have a queen, but she can't get through the excluder anyway. And just shake them right in here. And the old bees will fly back and the young nurse bees will stay here on top of the queen excluder. And then I didn't make a picture of it, but a tip is take your bee brush, go find the softest bee brush you can find. Get an animal hair bee brush So when I go to the bee supply, the conventions, I always look for the vendors. A lot of times the Chinese vendors have these very, very nice soft brushes. Cut the handle off it right here. Now this one, you're gonna hold, once the handle's off, you can put it sideways in here and you tickle the bees' backs. So the trick for using a sieve box is not to blast them with smoke. That just confuses them. That's like being in a blindfolded in a smoky room. You don't know which way to go. You put just a little tiny whiff of smoke right along the top edge here, and that makes the bees walk down. Then you take your very soft brush and just tickle them really lightly on the back, and bingo, they'll go right through the queen excluder. The tickling is just, that's the trick. They'll all go through except for any drones or any queens. Your mated queen, your laying queen, your virgin queens, they can't get through. And you can pick that queen up and take her out. So you only want queenless bees in there. And then you're going to feed them if there's no nectar flowing. If there's a nectar flowing, you don't want to feed them. The thing is, if you feed them too much, they will draw comb between the queen cells. They'll build and draw a white comb. That's a pain then to cut the queen cells out. So this is, you have to learn with experience just how much nectar or syrup they need to have coming in. And I put a jar on top. So we like this top feeder jar so we can always see how much syrup they're taking. Then we come back after an hour and check. And we'd like to see clusters of bees hanging on either side of those empty spaces. That means that all these frames are covered with bees, and now you have enough here. And the reason is that we rear queens early in the spring, okay, independent of the weather. So here I am rearing queen cells right here. And everybody always says, oh God, no, we can't rear queens this early in the season. That's nonsense. This is us. This is not atypical for me rearing queen cells right here. And there's a bar of grafted cells going in right there, and they're going to be just fine because by the time these emerge 12 days later, we've already looked at the weather. We know the weather is going to be changing, and they'll be able to have flight conditions. They're going to emerge in 12 days, in 12 days, and then they're not going to even mate for another 7 days after that. So you're talking 19 days out. Well, you don't know the weather 19 days out. So if you think there's a good chance the weather's going to be okay 19 days out, we just charge ahead and we go ahead and rear our queen cells.
You can start grafting in the snow.
Okay, so here we are. Set up again, queen right, nest, the entrance back here, 5 frames, rear entrance here, starter right here with 5 frames, and the swarm board right here.
Just put some music on. I'm Landon Norris, Formula 1 driver for McLaren.
Ooh, hello.
Now you wait a few hours. You're going to let those nurse bees realize they're queenless because they got no queen pheromone, because what you've done, any queen pheromones way down here, you don't get enough transferred to this box, and you got this solid swarm board right here. So they don't have any queen pheromones. So they know they're queenless. So you're going to wait until they know they're queenless in order to, before you graft. Okay, so now let's look at the breeder queens. You don't have to do this, but this is I'm going to show this to you as though you're rearing a few hundred queen cells at a time. We set on my back porch. I set up all my breeders queens, and I keep them in singles. If it's a breeder queen, she's going to be a really good queen, which means if you don't steal bees from them, they're going to all swarm. You'll lose all your breeders, and that's very frustrating to lose a breeder by swarming before you graft. So I take all my breeder colonies and knock them down to a small size and have them lined up right here. And then I control which frames they lay on. We pick out the frames that we want to graft off of. And these are old, dark, drawn combs. We want to confine the queen to that drawn comb. And I make these modified frames out of a sheet of plywood. And I just cut a queen excluder in half and then cut out that shape and then staple them in here. And it depends upon your dimensions of your queen excluders, okay? But these go all the way down to the bottom of the of your that single, so that the queen can't get out. So it's the depth of the box plus the bee ways.
Brad, you should trade Randy woodwork.
So here's a single right here. with the breeder queen confined to this one frame with queen excluder on either side right here. And then we're going to shove these frames back together. Then I have a rotation system. So I keep 6 frames in rotation right here. So the queen's laying right here, and twice a week I move them. So the 6 frames twice a week is one 21-day brood cycle. It works out just perfect. So on Saturday I put the queen in here, and then 3 days later on Tuesday, then I will then move this frame over to here, and take this frame, which was emerging brood, and put it into here, and put the queen on this one, and now she will lay the eggs following the last. This is day 21 for this one, so all the brood will be emerged by the next day, and she can then relay this frame, and then this frame right here, a couple of days later, will be egg or larvae ready for grafting. So we do all our grafting off of this frame, and then after we graft, we put this frame back in here and just keep with the rotation. So we keep these 6 frames in rotation twice a week. This is a huge trick if you want to always be able to easily have several hundred larvae of the right age to graft. Okay, so after a few hours, we're going to go back to the cell starter. We're going to look for first instar larvae. So this is a first instar larva right here, just about the size of the egg laid down. Here's a second instar larva. That's too old. That's a second, almost third instar larva, way too old to graft. You want to graft only first instar larvae that have not yet molted. Okay, so here we're looking again here. These are all too old right here. These are all second instar larvae. Okay, so here we go right here, and oh, you can't see the top from the screen, but this that showing there's the size of the egg, there's the size of a larva. Notice that it's just the larva is the same length as an egg. And here's a picture I made. I keep this one up on my grafting room for the help. This is the size larvae you'll be grafting. These first instar, these are all too old right here. One more perfect size right here, too old. So first instar, second instar larvae. And you're gonna, if you're over 40, you're gonna want to put your magnifying glasses on, or driller's loop for this. Okay, what we find here in California, it's often very dry when we're grafting. You're going to read in all the books that said, oh, keep your grafting room warm. There's no reason for that. Larvae have no problem getting chilled. You can, they can get chilled, they'll be just fine. It's not the temperature that's important, it's the humidity. You can't let them dry out. They're very susceptible to desiccation. So we use a sprayer to keep everything damp all the time. And we always keep our larvae that we run for grafting always covered with a nice sterile, damp towel.
That looks sterile, doesn't it?
Now you need your cell cups.
You
can't just pick off a bunch of these cell cups off of frames, and you graft into these just fine. But believe it or not, the bees actually prefer these plastic cell cups over natural cell cups. And there's another style here that goes into a group. We don't like this style as much as this style, because these fit into the frame a lot easier when you press them into the combs. And what we find is, after the queen has emerged from these cells in the colony and the bees polish these out, later in the season or next spring, if the bees want to make a supersedure cell or a swarm cell, they will always use these plastic cells preferentially over a natural cell. They really do like these plastic cells. Now we spray the inside of the cells very lightly with clean water right here. This keeps the humidity up inside the cell. And then we flip these over upside down onto a damp towel to keep them moist until we graft into them.
Beekeeper sterile.
And we like this little handheld pump-up sprayer, these little misters, a very fine mist. We like this brand a whole lot. Then we get to grafting. And here's the Chinese grafting tool here. And usually when I talk to beekeepers, they just go into panic when I say using a Chinese grafting tool or grafting. I say, hey, if you can figure out how to use a Q-tip without poking your eardrum out. You can master learning how to graft with a grafting tool. Okay, so let's take a look at the Chinese grafting tool. The mistake people make is you don't push down on the plunger until you've already got the larva on the tongue. You don't start off pushing down on the plunger. That once you understand that, and I show how to do this, people go, "Oh my God, that is so easy to do. I can't believe it." You need to use it only on an old, dark, well-used drawn comb where the bottoms are rounded with the old cocoons. The Chinese tool does not work on fresh combs that have square bottoms. You need a rounded bottom. So we pick out a bunch of frames that look like this, and these are dedicated in the springtime just for us to have the queens, the breeder queens, lay eggs into so we can graft easily. We like to take Anna great big frames of all even age larvae on these frames, and then she can graft several hundred queen larvae off of one frame. Okay, so these instructions are all on my website on that Queens for Pennies. And what you do is you just, without pushing down the plunger, you just slide the tongue down. It hits the bottom here, and it scoots right underneath the jelly, underneath the larva. It never touches the larva. And then, so now the tongue goes all the way into the larva, and then you just lift this up. Now, this just took a fraction of a second, just down and up. And now when it comes up, capillary action holds that jelly to the Chinese grafting tool with the larva. Again, you've never touched the larva. The larva remains on the jelly that it was already eating, that the nurses had put there. So there's no priming of these cells. Okay, and here I am pulling a larva out of a cell right here. Then you put it into your plastic cell cup, and now you push the plunger down. And the plunger doesn't touch the larva, it hits the jelly, and it pushes the jelly and the larva onto the cell. If you pinch the larva with the plunger, then you have to just, you pull it out, and you lick it off, and you're done. By the way, yes, we do lick them off. You wind up eating a lot of royal jelly when you're grafting a lot, because we just
sterile towels,
our lips to clean off.
But it's okay to put your.
So if there's any question as to whether you touch the larva with the plunger, you just pull it out and eat the larva and eat the,
got it.
the jelly. Here's the other trick I learned, especially when you get over 40.
All right.
We graft in a.
So if you can see here, this video goes on for quite a while yet. Brad did drop the link in the chat there. So we will cut that short. It's a lot of neat, useful information, guys. So if you're interested in it, it's well worth the watch. However, we would be here another hour.
Yeah, he really gets in the weeds with the grafting part, which is fine because, you know, all the help you can get. But all he's doing is he's starting those cells in that third box, and then in 24 hours he just moves all of those down into the second box, which is now a queen right finisher above a queen excluder. So that's all he's doing. So he's doing the same thing as a cloak board, and again, he's talking about this swarm board, but it's a bottom board. It really is what it is, and you don't have to put it on top of the hive that you had. You put that anywhere. Put it beside, put it somewhere else. Doesn't matter. You can put it on top if you want. And this is what I'm gathering from the essence of what he's saying. So it's really just a swarm board. It's really just a cloak board system without the need for any special equipment at all. And that's what I really, you know, that really spoke to me, because a lot of times somebody will, well, I want to raise queens, but I don't have this, I don't have that. You don't need anything. All you need is a grafting tool and a cell bar frame and some cups. Really, that's what you need.
Essentially, with what he just did, you could have just picked those same 4 frames, set up another hive right next to it. Maybe the alternating direction thing would be all right, and put the bees in there. And literally, if you have that queen located in a different box set off to the side, you could just shake all the bees right into that new box, and the old ones will fly back.
That's what I do. Just set it beside. There's less lifting and stuff. because then you just move the frames back. You don't need to lift the box and stuff. There's just so many ways to do this. I talked about a few of them on my recent grafting workshop video.
Randy even said that in the video that beekeepers try to make it harder than it needs to be.
It's the irony, I think, of that video is he mentions that beekeepers want to make things, more complicated as possible, and
But then he's like, I fabricated this and I fabricated
he
that.
kind of complicates it unnecessarily, in my opinion. I am not one to sit here and correct Randy Oliver. I have great respect for him, but I do think that there's a lot of detail in there that doesn't necessarily have to be there.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, he took one box and made a nuke with 4 frames.
If you want to see how complicated a cell builder can be, you look up the University of Guelph and find how they make a cell builder. Oh my God, the thing is about 6 boxes high, and it's got 5 queen excluders and 2 cloak boards, and it's and it took 4 of them all day to put it together, right?
Well, what I like about the method he just did was, it didn't take like extra resources from another colony.
And it never stops the queen, right? The queen's down there. She's doing her job. She doesn't know any different.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah. I know a beekeeper here. She's got a really good method. She'll go and determine what hive she wants to use. And then she'll just go and take the queen. She'll just find the queen, take the frame, put it in a nuke box, just set it there, set it aside. And so she continues to lay. She's all good. And then she'll wait 4 days, so that the last eggs that the queen laid are now ready to graft from. So then she'll take those eggs, do her grafting, put her cell bar in there, wait 24 hours, right? And then she can put her queen back in, and then put her cells above that in a queen right finisher configuration. It's a genius method, I think, because it never stops the queen from laying. You use one colony. The builder is the breeder. It's a small scale, awesome way to make some queens.
See what Jason says right there? Yeah, if you have a pro nip, put 4 frames in it with some shakes of bees and put a graft in 24 hours later. 48 hours later, put those 5 frames back into the double hive with a queen excluder in between the boxes, and you're good to go.
Yeah, there's myriad of ways to do this. It's kind of understanding what needs to be done, and you can figure out how you want to do it, right?
Hey, Alex. I haven't said hey to you yet.
Hello, how you doing?
What's going on, Alex?
Not much. Not much. I really don't need pollen. They don't.
How are your bees doing? You've been working your bees? You got a good.
Well, the temperature's been shit. But what I did do some work on them. I gave them a second super so that I could recover from the losses. Especially the basswood apiary lost half of its hives. So what I'm going to do is I don't think I'll bother grafting. I'll just split the whole thing in half. Once there's enough larvae, see what happens.
I did that.
The other one is doing pretty amazingly well. The strawberry field one, they barely touched the pollen patty I gave them. So now I know that neither site needs pollen patties at all. They don't use it. So I'll save money in the long run, but right now I have like almost a full, like a 20-pound bag of pollen left that I don't need.
You'll use it eventually?
Yeah, well, I can still use it if I want to make splits. That's probably a good idea to use some pollen patties. But for fall and spring, not needed at all. The strawberries pop fairly early, so they didn't touch it. And the Bestwood one has like the huge warehouses full of spring flowers the farmer uses to sell. So they get fresh pollen from there too.
Nice.
Well, yeah, I might have to skip like another week because I destroyed the zipper on my last bee suit. I ordered a new one, but it won't be there until the 17th.
What in the world is Mike doing?
Other than that,
Muted, Mike. Fixing a bungee?
I'm making bungee cords.
You're making bungee cords.
Oh, he's got bulk bungee there.
See, one's got, where's my camera? One's got a clip and one's got a hook. They're for my mating nukes on the stands.
Right.
I clip it on, run it around, and hook the top on.
Nice.
And that way, when I drop it, it's still connected. I don't have to bend over.
I've got a big box of pollen subs too.
I have a question for the experts in the group. I screwed up today, and I hope I didn't mess things up too bad, because I did this really nice graft like 5 days ago. I got a really good take. The cells look beautiful, and I messed up my timing, and I moved those cells to my incubator today. They were, almost all of them were capped, but just barely today. There's lots of jelly left in the cup. It's just I have, because I graft every 4 days, I have 2 graft frames, and so I'll graft in one, and then 4 days later I'll graft in a second one, and then the third 4-day interval I'll graft a third frame, but the first frame moves to the incubator that day. So 8 days after graft. But I moved it about 5 days after graft. So I'm hoping I didn't mess things up.
As long as you didn't jiggle them too much, probably.
I guess that's the biggest danger, right? If I dislodge the larva.
Yeah. If you didn't, then it won't really matter as long as the temperature is regulated and everything is good. It shouldn't
To
matter.
the incubator. Should be right.
And there's a point further on that you got to worry about damaging their wings too.
Yeah. So, wish me luck.
A lot of people, I think, as soon as they're capped, they put them in the incubator.
But what's the real difference between doing that, what you just did, and what we just watched Randy Oliver do after 24 hours moving them? Is there any big difference?
Well, he doesn't.
He moves them from one box back to the original.
Well, what he's doing is he's using a 24-hour cell starter, queenless cell starter, and then a queen right cell finisher. I'm using a queenless cell starter finisher because my apiary is just not strong enough to support.
I was just
cell finishers.
Thinking that
cell finishers are supposed to do a little better job feeding them and getting them up to snuff. So I'm just concentrating on keeping the cell starter really strong. I'm trying to keep putting frames of emerging brood. I'm feeding it well. I'm putting frames of pollen in there when I can find them. So I'm, I mean, that does work, but.
Hey, Mark Miller said if they're capped when you move them into the oven, they're fine.
Yeah, they were capped. I guess just the danger is dislodging the larva likely. Thanks, Mark. I was going to message you today and ask you how badly I screwed up, because that's why I have like 50 cells in my incubator, because I moved 2 batches of them today. I moved the wrong batch, and then when I realized my mistake, I went back and got the correct batch. Oopsie daisy. Because tomorrow, the batch I was supposed to move tomorrow may start emerging. Tomorrow and Thursday is the timing on those.
Jason said 48 hours after the graft, he had to take his top box off with grafts in it, take the double screen board off, queen excluder on, then box back on top, and it didn't hurt anything.
Right, that's a queen. That's a queen right finisher, and you can do it as soon as 24 hours. Yeah, 24, 48, anywhere in there, really. Or if you're using a cloak board, pull the slide out. Right.
My buddy Amir sent me a picture of some of his new patterns of his. He said it's his most. See if I can turn it. Will it turn? Will it turn? Come on, turn. There we go. That might be better to look at. This was the some of his newest hygienic bees. That was the queen that he just grafted and came back mated, and that was her pattern.
She missed a few there.
Yeah, crush her. She missed like 10 in the whole damn thing.
It's unacceptable.
Unacceptable. But I said, yeah, I need some of those mated queens. That's Mark says he usually moves his on the 5th day after graft when they're capped. So I guess right when they cap. And I believe that's when I moved. When I did them by James's, it seemed like he did it was a little bit earlier than what some people do it, but they did well in the incubator.
So I'm really leaning toward investing in easy peasy cages. Right? Because what I did today wouldn't happen. And I don't have to move them to the house and then carry them all the way back.
You just slide the cage right over the
problem I have, like the pain in the butt, it's kind of fun, but the pain in the butt that I have is I have to keep watching my incubator. When they emerge, I take them out, I mark them. It's nice to be able to mark them right away. And then I walk them to the apiary and put them in the mating nuke. So I have to do that maybe 3 times a day. Easy peasy cages, I can just let them all emerge, leave them for a couple of days so that everybody who's going to emerge does, and then take those cages and I can introduce them right there in the apiary. So that would save me a lot of bother.
You just make you could just get a 3D printer and print them yourself.
Rip off the guy's design. That's what I want to do.
No, I'm not saying rip his design off. I'm just saying there's probably files on the
I think there's some nuances about those cages. It would take me a while to, and I don't need very many, right?
Yeah, you can reuse them.
I mean, they're expensive. You know, he sells them in packs of 30, which, you know, is a little annoying to me because I need like probably 3 packs of 30 to do two grafting frames, right? Because I'll do 45 at a time. So that's 330s. And they're, I just looked it up and it's $85, $84 for
30 of them?
For 30 of them, 85 US for 30 of them.
Yep. So what would be the difference between using the hair roller setup like I use?
Well, I could. I just have to set it up so that the hair roller stays on the JZBZ cup because they're not made to interface, right?
Yeah, they're different. The ones
so
I got.
I just have to set up my cell frame so that, I don't know, something holds the hair roller cage up into there, but that would work as well.
They make some, I don't know if I got them nearby, because, you know, I've got all of these wonderful gadgets around here.
You definitely have the highest gadgets to bees ratio of anybody.
The bad thing is I can never find the stuff when I need to show it. But yeah, they do have a bigger type that slide right into that hair roller cage end, and it's just the pieces, right? That
they have what?
I've got somewhere.
Oh, well, those hair roller cages are made for the Genter system. Yeah, I've got tons of those.
And then they just.
But those don't hold the JZBZ cups. Those hold the Genter
yeah.
cups.
Yep, you're right.
You can graft into the Genter cups, and then use the hair roller cages. They snap right in there.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the easy peasy ones. I don't dislike them. However, I'm financially challenged at the moment, so
yeah, me too. I don't care for the price. They sure would save me. It would make my incubator obsolete.
Right. And but yeah, it's definitely.
I'll let you know how I like them. I'm getting mine Thursday.
Yeah, let me know, Mike. So, does the ratio mean a lot of gadgets or few? Both.
Yes, more gadgets.
Lots of gadgets and not that many bees. So it's a high ratio of gadgets to
I
bees.
bought the 3 packs, just like you said, so you could do 2.
Right, so you got 90.
Yeah, and then I bought the frame rest that you can put them in.
So 90 is like $250.
Oh no! Then I bought the incubator.
Well, US.
I just couldn't.
So it's like $1,000 Canadian.
Never gets old.
Well, $250.
So I just got
that'd be nearly $500, and shipping would be a lot too. So it'd be $500 by the time I got it here.
I just got the $50 Tractor Supply chicken egg incubator for my incubator.
I cut some queen cells out the other day.
You saw my incubator, didn't you? When you were here, Bob? Sort of a medical lab.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a kick-ass incubator.
So Brad, I used the roller cages with these queen cells. Just stuck them in the end, put a piece of tape over them.
Yeah.
And I just put a drop of honey in the bottom.
Yeah.
And a little drop of water, and I had them in there 3 days.
Oh yeah.
With no attendance.
In the incubator.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I had to make a nuke for them.
Yeah.
And with all the rain, that made it difficult.
Man, it's almost like a regular live stream. We've been going like almost 2.5 hours now. At least I have.
Like the old days.
Like the old days. It's coming back. Man, it was so long. I was sitting here like having to relearn StreamYard a bit on putting stuff on and off and everything. So nice to be back. But
nice to have you back, Bob.
I've got I do have, so my schedule is like 2 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. I don't know if that'll get old or if it'll just keep me from not being as tired at work. And because let's face it, it's not a high impact job, right? It's just doing this all day long. So,
and you're really good at that.
I am really good at that. Moving my gums all day long. And people, it's funny because I totally talk to the customer just like I talk to anybody else. So, to give you an example, there was a song that came out several years ago, I guess now, and it was 2 young ladies from New York were moving into a new apartment, and I said, "And what's that address you're calling about today?" And she says, she gives me the address, and then she says apartment G5. I said, "Oh man." She said, "What?" I said, "It could have been like a G6, like a G6." And they just started cracking up. She's like, "You just made our whole weekend in that one thing." And then they bought everything I offered them. I mean, it was like, it was crazy. And I don't know if, I bet you people in the chat have heard that song before if you guys haven't, but have you heard it, Alex? You never heard that song? I don't even know who sings it. Now you're gonna make me look it up.
I tend to listen more to orchestral music, like video game music or movie music.
Of course you are.
Rather than songs.
Of course you're into orchestral music. I would have never thought anything else.
Sorry.
Who's
Like
saying?
Hans Zimmer, James Horner.
Man, I don't know. There's so many people that have like remade that song, I guess. Far East Movement, I guess, was the name of the group. Anyway, it's crazy. You know, there was a Pontiac G6 that came out, a car, and that's what it was. Never mind. Anyway, they thought it was quite humorous, and it got me a sale. So it was.
Good going.
Look who we got here, Senor Longman. Hey, Doug.
Hola.
Gentlemen,
You're not
A decent Canadian to American ratio.
3-2.
Yeah, outnumber him.
It's kind of like the score in the last Canadian-U.S. hockey game, 3-2, wasn't it? Canada victorious.
What's that?
Yeah, you don't even know what hockey is, but I'm sure Doug knows. Doug, you're not muted, are you?
nope.
Oh, okay. How's things going for you, sir?
Tough. Hard. Lots of smoke, lots of work.
Is the well, it's hard for the fires to not affect everything, right? Because it is burning stuff that might be blooming for you guys too. To help out. I mean, how's it taking the toll on the bees?
We're pretty blue today, so the bees weren't even flying really.
They got smoked back in.
Yeah.
Well, how did the polyhives do over the winter? How was your success rate on those?
They were probably the best as far as survival for the winter, but we've lost lots since winter was over.
Not being able to get out and get the
Me
food.
Too.
It's a strange spring. They just don't seem to be improving at all, really.
I've got one that's a nuke that doesn't seem to want to get bigger than 5 frames. Even with a box on top of it, they have no interest of moving up and doing anything in the top box. They just are content being right there on 5 frames, not getting bigger. They're not getting smaller either, for that matter. They're just kind of staying the same, which is unusual. I don't know why, but
That's like this, for example, Doug, this one here, it's alive, and there's a few frames of brood in it, whatnot. It's a 10th of June, and this thing is not even filled a single, right?
Off
Got
with their heads.
whole bunch of those. So that's exactly what happens. Is this kind of thing ends up making mating nukes, and pinch the queen.
yeah, it might be one that I just take that nuke and sacrifice it in. If it's got 3 frames, make 3 2-frame colonies and let them try to rear some queens off of it, and let it go. Right? I mean, it's not a loss really.
Yeah, I'd do that if I were you.
First time the monsoon stops here and I can get out there now that I go to work early. See, when I was going to work later, the benefit was I could go out for a couple hours in the morning. Now I've got to be at work with everybody else in the morning, and now it has to go to either my day off or after work. Doug's moving in slow motion over there. Thought I saw like a Bigfoot sighting, that old video, and they slow it down and he's walking through the woods. Like, doesn't it look like he's in slow-mo?
Does.
And now he's froze. Screenshot. He looks like he's got a dip in his mouth right now. There he is.
I got a bad connection. I keep losing you guys.
You need to go ahead and get Spectrum up there. We'll fix that right up for you.
Yeah.
So
always a sales pitch.
No, well, I laugh because, like I said, there's people like in the middle of the Kentucky hills that are getting 2 gig internet speed and fiber optics, and I can't get it here. But back when COVID hit and they were sending everybody home to work, the government passed this thing where they started funding like rural development of internet. So now all these way out in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of nowhere, Texas, I pull it up on our locator and it looks like just dirt. No grass, no bushes, nothing, just dirt in homes, fiber optic internet. Me? No. But I can't complain. I still get fast internet here, but it's just crazy that how they're getting advantage of that government.
Mine's not even wired.
Yeah, you're not on.
It's an antenna on the house.
It's like wireless.
Wireless.
Which do you ever find that the weather affects that signal? I mean, other than like a storm, but kind of like a satellite type of deal, or where you wouldn't get cell signal. And
this one has been rock solid. We've had a number of different iterations of wireless. One of them was awful. It was it was some crazy thing they put together. You get a windy day and everything would go out. But this one's been rock solid. The only time this one's ever been out is when there was a super bad storm and the whole tower went out, because the tower is only 1.5 miles away.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's how a lot of those like AT&T and Verizon and all those, they use those little cubes, but it's basically just a cell phone signal. Kind of like if you hotspotted your phone, same thing.
Yeah, sort of like that.
On hotspot,
Yeah.
Had a
guy actually he put the antenna up on the house on the tower. It's not up on the tower. It's just kind of, and he said I had to misalign it. He said I had to misalign the antenna because if I point it right at the tower, it's going to cook your antenna. The signal is too strong in it, so he had to skew it a bit to attenuate that signal a bit.
Yeah, so it's been fun, but it's just sitting at the desk by myself all day. I might as well be here. So I just need to get in the top 30% of the thing and I'll be able to work from home. So that's the goal right now.
That's nice.
And then my 1 hour lunch break, I can go grab some queens. Come back in.
That's right. That's right.
So hopefully that happens eventually. But right now, got to go in every day. Well, 5 days a week anyway. But at any rate, we've been on for 2.5 hours. I'm going to kill the live stream here. So you know the drill, guys, in the stream. So you feel free to not quickly disconnect. And everybody else, hopefully, God willing, we'll be back next Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, back on schedule. So thank you, everybody. And hey, I have to give a shout out, Steve, the man, $100 super chat right out of the gate. I appreciate that. And look at this. This is dedication. Nice. Dedication. Phil from 33 Mile Bees. 36 months as a member of the channel consecutive. 3 years.
Nice.
So
very nice.
I appreciate all those things, guys. And now that we're getting back on chat, on schedule here, you won't feel like you're getting robbed for that membership. So I do appreciate that for sure. At any rate, guys, everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Good night.